Hi everybody, welcome to episode 17 of the Teesside Business Podcast. Today we've got the great guys on from Tees Compass. Many people in Teesside already know who you guys are and the great work that you do within the community, but it's great to have you guys on so we can help tell more and more people about what you do. So if we can start off by you just introducing yourselves and telling us a little about your career history and how you basically came to work for Tees Compass and how Tees Compass began.
Ladies first.
I was waiting for that.
Okay, thank you. I'm Gemma Walton. I'm the Marketing Events Manager for Teesside Business Compass. I've been with the Compass since we started the contract in January. I worked on the business support helpline, so I have got a background in government funding, and I'm responsible for the website. I designed the new website, all the social media, video case studies, basically anything you see that's out there to do with the marketing and promotion is me.
Which is a ton of stuff.
I'm Shak Asghar. I'm the Growth Service Manager for Tees Business Compass. Basically, my role in essence is to manage the team of growth consultants, kind of sort of be out there, be the face of Tees Valley Business Compass so people know about the service, work with suppliers, help to generate sort of leads, things like that. So, and then obviously manage the day-to-day operations in terms of getting the support to the businesses that need it and linking them up with any of the products and services that we've got or anybody in the wider business support landscape can provide for them.
Oh, fantastic. So, for those who don't know, what is Tees Compass and what does it do? What does it do? Sorry, in essence.
So Tees Valley Business Compass basically is what is referred to behind the scenes as a growth hub. There's a number of growth hubs across the country, and it was a decision taken at sort of government level to create areas, if you like, and each area would have a growth hub. So for Tees Valley region, it's called Tees Valley Business Compass. It's just the brand for the growth hub even. And basically what that means is in the Teesside region, there's 5 local authorities that are part of the Growth Hub and part of Tees Valley Combined Authority who we deliver the service for. And those are Stockton, shout out to Stockton because we're sat in Stockton.
We are.
Middlesbrough, Hartlepool, Redcar and Cleveland and Darlington Borough Council. So basically if you're an SME business, which is business operating in the Tees Valley area, paying rates or would be subject to paying rates to one of those 5 local authority areas, you have got less than 250 staff.
Yep.
And roughly about 43 million pounds of turnover.
Less than.
Yeah,
you're up to, sorry.
So you can go up to that amount. You'd be deemed as an SME. So it gives us quite a lot of flexibility to help many businesses in Tees Valley. Because even if they're owned by another business or part of a group structure, often they are in the SME bracket. There's not many that are sort of huge.
No, it's to you. Yeah. You know, it is like obviously there are some very large companies on Teesside, but you know that 42 million is a pie in the sky number to quite a lot of us, ourselves included. So what does it look like then when you, because we talked about this on previous podcasts, there is very much like a different culture in Teesside compared to where, like if you go to Newcastle or Leeds and things like that, like I don't know if this statistic is still true, so please somebody correct me if it's not, but it was that we had the highest number of startups of anywhere in the UK, like currently in Teesside. I don't know if that's still true. Yeah,
I mean, we as part of the Tees Valley, Teesside Business Compass, there's a startup arm on there, and a partner of ours delivers that service, so they'll probably be able to give you the accurate figures, but historically there's been quite an entrepreneurial theme in Tees Valley, and particularly with things like the demise of the SSI operation, and after the recession a lot of people were looking for work where they couldn't find employment. And I just think that the people of Tees Valley, all 5 areas, are sort of quite good at finding innovative ways to sort of give themselves employment, if you like.
Absolutely.
And we tend to sort of have a high rate of startups, and quite successful ones. Average, you see the death rate within the first 3 years of the business, but the data shows that by interventions through Tees Valley Business Compass Startup, and then moving on to the next stage, the growth stage, which is what we are, that sort of mitigates that death rate within the first 3 years. And we're seeing people who started up, you know, a number of years ago, now sort of employing 10 people and a lot more in some cases. So that entrepreneurial spirit, I think, of Teesside is a very good asset that we have here.
Oh, it is, and it's one of those things where, you know, every business in Teesside wants to grow. It wants to employ more people, and I know one of the big criteria for you guys is obviously that it does create jobs, etc. So, for those listening, I know a lot of people are hearing growth funds and things like that. I know that there's multiple funds that are available for businesses. Can you tell us what each of they are, and just a really brief overview of what they are, if that makes sense? You know, so like what fund, basically what's out there for people, what can they get?
Okay, so business support is quite a vast subject, if you like. So I'm just going to talk about Tees Valley Business Compass Growth, which is what we operate. And basically how it looks is there's 5 key elements to it. Growth support, which is my team of consultants who'll be working out across the whole of the Tees Valley area. There's no geographical boundaries for them. We just go where the inquiries come from. So anybody who's operating a business, they're actually trading. They don't have to be trading as such as in terms of generating a revenue yet, because we've got quite a lot of digital type of businesses and innovative businesses in Teesside at the moment, and something we're trying to foster. So, for example, if it was a games designer,
or an app developer or something like that,
it's an upfront cost. So if they're incurring costs, the technical term is economically active rather than trading, if you like. So as long as there's something going on there with the business, they can interact with us. They'd speak to our guys at the front end to just establish high-level eligibility and what it is that they're looking to get from us in terms of support. But as I said, the first point of call after that, once you've established eligibility, is the team of consultants. One of them will visit that business, sit down with them and do an intensive sort of diagnostic process. And it's just a very sort of informal conversation, a bit like what we're doing now. And we just get under the skin of the business, where it's come from, where it's trying to go. And then we, or the guys, will sort of identify what the barriers are there, and once we've identified what the barriers to growth are, we can then look within the landscape whether it's something that we manage as part of the Compass service itself, or wider partners that are delivering business support. So after that first point of contact with the business and element 1 of our support, which is, as I said, the consultancy that we provide, there's 4 pots of money that we fund manage as well for the combined authority as part of Compass. So briefly, there's a broadband voucher, and realistically, if I break it down into English, what we're trying to buy for the money that we'd invest in a business is access to higher speeds, higher than 30 megabytes plus. So if a business doesn't have access to that currently, we can fund upfront works such as digging the road up, etc., internal sort of hardware and external hardware, anything of the nature of upfront costs. We wouldn't fund revenue sort of line rental. And as I say, we're buying access to that 30 plus speed there for our money, if you like. The second is innovation vouchers, and what we're doing here is trying to drive innovation in Tees Valley by facilitating businesses to introduce a new product, process or service within their own business. So you don't even have to be new to marketplace, it just has to be within their own business. So for example, if I was designing coffee mugs and I wanted to design some new version of a coffee mug made out of wood, I might have to incur a third-party cost there with a design engineer, because I don't have the internal skills, and that's the type of activity we would be able to fund as part of innovation vouchers. So then we also look at energy efficiency within businesses, and again, breaking it down in simple terms, what we're trying to buy for the money that we'd invest is a reduction in the business's CO2 emissions over a given period of time. We kind of look at it over a period of 12 months. So typically the type of projects that we're seeing come through on that fund are the likes of sort of highly efficient LED conversion lighting, so you'd switch your normal incandescent bulbs over to an LED within a warehouse or factory, and that can lead to a lot of CO2 savings over a year. Ground source heat pumps, solar PV on your roof, all that kind of thing. And we could also fund a level of consultancy through that, but pretty much in the main what people are buying through that fund is the capital items.
The hardware itself.
And then the fourth fund, which is kind of our biggest ticket fund, is called the Business Growth Fund, and it's a flexible fund, what we call a flexible fund in the technical funding terms. And what that means in English is just we're able to fund consultancy type of projects that are linked to the business's growth, but we're also able to help fund some capital purchases as well. So along the lines of the consultancy theme, the typical things we'll see people coming to us for is, I guess, your kind of bag a lot on the marketing side. So that could be digital, that could be sort of your more traditional strategy work and things like that, print and advertising regimes, things like that. But they'll engage a third party, and obviously the third party will have an invoice cost to deliver that service for the applicant. So we'll obviously assess the application with a view that it's going to, as a result of this investment and our intervention in that investment, lead to some business growth somewhere down the line. So that's just one example of the type of project that we'd look at through that fund, but it is really wide ranging. And I guess later on you might ask us some stuff about that. But then on the capital investment side of things, again, it's the same concept. It's investment into kit, plant and machinery, that kind of thing. Works, we can also fund works that has a strong link to the business's appetite and aspiration for growth. So if I sort of use a manufacturing example, works might be that they have an unused part of their premise and they want to bring it into use, and it's got a bit of building work to be done there to install the conveyor belt to make more cakes or whatever, and that's the kind of thing we'd be looking at there, and we'd fund towards the building costs. But then they might also need to buy an oven, so then we'd fund towards doing that as well. So it's really good that we have the flexibility to do that, and I think another important thing to sort of say there is, we go from a minimum intervention rate across the board, all four of those funds, of £1,000. We have a percentage intervention rate in Tees Valley under this scheme of up to 33% in grant monies. So you'd be spending about £3,050 to get that £1,000. So we start right at the base level, but then we go right up, and some of our capital investments that we operate in Tees Valley for the Combined Authority can be quite significant numbers, six-figure numbers, and some in the past have been in multi-million-pound deals. We're looking at buying business growth under this scheme. There's some level of job creation attached to innovation in the growth fund, but our consultants will explain that and hold you through the whole process. We try to make it as painless as possible, and I think we're starting to, now we've refined the process and everything, get the good feedback from the businesses themselves that it is quite fast paced under £25,000 because we do a fast track. Over that, it's still quite painless, and the guys are there to help them and support them. They find that really useful. And just one other thing I should sort of mention about our scheme is it's funded by the EU monies, so it's European Regional Development funding that we've got as part of this round. We're delivering, so we'll be issuing grant contracts up to December 2019. And obviously everything that we do has to be compliant with the rules and regulations in place for the EU funding round, but without sort of bamboozling people over what the restrictions are and things like that. We just sort of sit down and try and decode it, I guess, into plain English, and that's something that we've been working with Gemma quite hard on over this sort of last few months now, is really explaining things in English to businesses. Previously involvement in the private sector and my own ventures, I know that people find that navigating the whole landscape really difficult, and it is
Yeah, it's not set up. Yeah. So is that one of the main challenges for you guys for getting over that hump of where a lot of people might think, oh well, it's going to be really complicated for us to get funding, etc., or is it still a case of that there's still a huge proportion of people in Teesside who just don't even know that it's available? Obviously, it's getting less and less. I know how active you guys are, but what are the main problems that you guys face when it comes to letting people know this kind of stuff's out there?
I think initially it's kind of like a two-headed beast, if you like, and you've sort of alluded to it a little bit there. I think initially the main problem that business support has is, as I've said before, it's quite a vast landscape. So the concept of the growth hub is to try and help that, and we refer to it as hiding the wiring behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Because the business at the front door only needs to know, I've got a business support inquiry,
Yeah.
and we'll put it through the sorting hat. And whether it's something that we do or a partner will deliver, we'll then broker that in. So, for example, if you had an appetite for growing your business by trading internationally and you had to do market development visits and things like that, our friends at Department for International Trade are there to help, and we'll broker them in, and there's lots of things they can bring to the table. So I think the first thing is definitely the complex nature of the business support landscape itself, and so we're working on trying to break that down, and then sort of as a sort of follow-on point for that first sort of theme is I do think traditionally it's been delivered in language that is akin and sort of aligned to the technical side of business support, because we're externally funded, so we have to talk a certain language. But what we're trying to do there is, as I've said before, is work on how we present ourselves. So we're trying to sort of show people that we can be sort of a bit more human-natured. We're not, we're all got professional backgrounds. A lot of us are from the private sector as well, so we can relate to the businesses and sort of understand where they're coming from. We try and sort of project that via our core marketing and via all of our own sort of social media accounts. And it really is just sort of breaking down barriers and decoding is probably the right term to use into simple terms in English, because it can just be technical jargon. So I think Gemma's probably a bit more well placed to sort of explain how we've done that with the marketing in general.
Yeah, I think we're just trying to make it easy for people. I think there's still that element of it's difficult to access the funding. There's a lot of red tape. I'm going to spend ages doing it and I'm not going to get it and I'm not going to know where I went wrong. So for everything across the board, we're trying to make it simple for people. So from the marketing at the start, making it easy for people to access. We're on all social media channels. The website's easy to access. For people to register online, we've got an online registration system. Everything's done online for the client. You can go log in and out. If you can start the application and go back to it. You know, we want to make it as simple for people as possible, but we also want people to be able to reach out to us if they need help. You know, we don't want to put any barriers in the way, you know, and if you want to send a direct message on Twitter just to ask a question, I had a lady doing that yesterday, then you can. If you want to send a text message to ask a question, you can. If you want to pick up the phone, you know, we're here, we're a multi-channel service, you know, and we're there to help. That's all we want to do, help the businesses access the money to be able to grow. And we've tried very hard with the marketing and with ourselves to make sure that really comes across.
There is, and one of the great things, like I really like that you guys do, is obviously the testimonials, the video testimonial side of it, because it really does highlight the vast scope that it can do. Because obviously you talked about manufacturing and stuff there, and people think, oh well, I don't manufacture anything, I don't do that, but there could be an accountant and looking to basically from GDPR take all their stuff online, and then you just help doing that buying software or whatever it may be. There's such a huge range of services that you guys offer that it's really great that you stand and put out, well, you know, this is Dave with a one-man dog. This is a massive company that we do, and we've managed to help all these. So I know we talked about it previously, but is there any kind of big case studies that, or small case studies, even better, that you've done in the past where we can talk about briefly like that? I know you can't go into huge amounts of detail on stuff, but you know, where you've helped Dave the plumber do this or Sam the accountant do that. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, we've got a lot.
I know there's loads on the social media and stuff, and I highly recommend anybody taking a look.
We've done a lot of projects since we sort of started delivering the service in January 17. And I think we're evolving how we showcase our interventions in a better way. I think we're evolving how we're sort of presenting that with the video case studies, a lot of social media activity, and Gemma's working on a lot more cool stuff that we can do that's really sort of engaging with a wider sort of marketplace. But just to sort of give you a flavour, I mean, our first ever one that we did was in the Growth Fund, was a business called Excite Media or Egg Air. They were like a drone company. They were doing sort of surveying and things like that. And the guy there, Paul, he sort of I think it's quite good to mention that. I think he was one of the. It's fair to say, I don't think you'll mind me saying that he was quite sort of sceptical of the way that the system works.
Yeah.
And so there's some bits of information that we ask for that, you know, can be a bit scary to people if you're sort of asking, because it's like asking private information about somebody's life. That business is like their baby, if you like. So you've got to build that rapport and trust up. So we worked with Paul and we managed to sort of create a good relationship where we were able to support him and help him through that process. And he sort of was able to get a new website, basically, and marketing strategy, which has helped him grow the business. He's actually come back for a second application now, where he's investing into more kit. So he's gone from the sort of consultancy-based application in the first one, and now he's come back for funding towards investing into the capital items, because he's grown the business so much, he needs more kit. So that was the first one, and he literally at the time, it was just really himself who was operating that business, and now he's sort of grown and took a few people on. So you know, that was our first one, and it was a sort of a one-man band scale, if you like, and now we're showing the growth. But then we've done other things, like we've supported a business over in Hartlepool who do metal fabrications, and it goes out to sort of the construction industry, like as cladding products on big new builds. It's all cool stuff to do there.
Yeah.
And actually, it's one of our video case studies. Is that live? Is that live now? That
Yes,
one?
it is.
Yeah. So Expanded Metal Company, that business is called. So check the video out. It'll give you a good idea about the business. But yeah, they're a much sort of bigger manufacturing operation, and they've had a number of things from us. Really, they've sort of looking at capital, looking at energy efficiency, some consultancy projects to help marketing, some CGI software they wanted to have bespoke built. So we had that one. We've done sort of financial advisory companies. They've gone down the road of looking at CRM system development and having a new product process implemented within their own business. So that was like innovation vouchers. You put me on the spot now. I'm trying to remember loads of examples.
That's like a really good, you know, like just even the website thing, because most people when they start a business, the first thing they think about that they need is, you know, we need to start marketing so people can find us or let them know what we do. Website's obviously a big part of that, and even like the great thing that you guys do is obviously you've got like a supplier section on the website. Full disclosure to everybody listening, we are on there, but it's great that people go, well, who do I speak to? And the good thing is that you know, if they're after film work or they might have to website or no matter what they are, you've got like, or they might want IT support or an accountant, you know, like all these things that people need when they very first start. They can come to you guys and they say, well, actually, we can provide funding for all these kind of things. Like you just speak to one of our suppliers, you know, and help point people in the right direction. So it's like it's helping growth internally. Is like obviously all the suppliers are based on Teesside. Is that part? That's not part of the criteria, though. You can use supplies from anywhere, can't you?
From anywhere.
Yeah. It's just that, you know, obviously it's great to keep it in Teesside.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's great if we can sort of help fund projects and then it's local sort of contracts that are being delivered. That's brilliant because it's helping everybody in the Tees Valley. But this programme is built in such a way that it's flexible and it's the SME's choice, really, who they use. And, you know, have to explain in the application why they selected that supplier.
Yeah.
But we don't have a preferred suppliers list or anything of that nature. There's a cool example that we sort of did, which when it comes about to the point at which we can do a case study on it, will be really interesting. But basically, they're a games manufacturer, so they've had to, or designer, however you refer to them, and they have been engaging with consultants from across the globe. So, they're having to go out and seek the expertise that they need to help grow their business. And they could be from the States or wherever. So we don't sort of restrict what people are doing in terms of who they're using as a supplier. Yeah. And in some cases, there's only one place you can get something from, whether it's a service or a product. We've had another a lab that does lots of sort of complex scientific stuff, which I'm not going to pretend that I can explain. But they bought a piece of kit called a peptide synthesizer, I think it was called. Yeah. You might have to Google what it does. It makes peptides apparently, but there was only one manufacturer in the world that made this piece of kit. So yeah, we don't sort of restrict what the businesses are doing. At all. They can go out to the marketplace themselves as long as they can explain why they've selected that supply. But as you've alluded to, the supply page on our website is open to anybody. Yep. So I'd encourage suppliers that might listen to the podcast to get in touch with Gemma. Yeah. And Gemma will send them the supplier toolkit and everything that they need to. Yeah,
which is great. We've got it. It's a great document of how you can help people and stuff. It's something that we speak with a lot of our clients around and things like that. That there is this help that's available out there. Yeah.
I think one of the things that's probably worth mentioning is historically, I think with preferred supplier lists and systems of getting 3 quotes and things like that, it's put suppliers off in the past from working with schemes like this, because they might seed a business in and say, I've got a client who's looking for X, Y, Z, and I've told them about the funding, and then feel like they're at risk of losing that project. And actually, I think since we've started delivering this scheme, it's been quite the opposite. And now the people who have interacted with our service as a supplier have seen that, and we regularly get clients inquiring via the supplier. So I'm mentioning that to sort of build a bit of confidence. If you're a supplier, I don't think there's anything to be worried about in terms of competition and losing that client, for sure.
If anything, it just builds trust with your client, that you can go to them and kind of say, look, you can save up to 33% on what we're doing or what you guys would look to achieve anyway. What business doesn't want to save 33% on?
It's a good selling tool for people.
It is. It's a massive one. Especially if depending on whatever service they offer, 33% can be, like you say, if they're delivering something that's 6 figures, like a building project or whatever it may be. Save 30 grand on something is an obscene amount. That's a wage for somebody. So it's a really exciting thing, and it's great that it's all been poured back into Teesside. The good thing about you guys is you kind of see anything and everything. So you see, every conceivable business that's happening in Teesside at the moment. What do you think of the current state of business in Teesside? Do you think it's still going is it in a strong position? Is it still really improving? Obviously, there is always, you spoke about the death rate and stuff that's out in all businesses. Unfortunately, there is a high failure rate in business. No one's going to pretend that it's not hard to have your own business. But how do you think it's, obviously with help of you guys and things like that, is it skewed that we're doing better than ever? Is it a good thing that all these businesses are opening Teesside? Is there going to be too much competition? Have you got I know obviously more business is always better for everybody, but what do you think of the current state of business in Teesside?
I think the climate really for Tees Valley is a very positive one. Clearly there's going to be startups and failures, and I've done it myself where you win some and you lose some, and that's just part of taking the risk of going in and starting a new venture, I guess. But as I sort of alluded to earlier, it seems to be really positive with people willing to invest monies, whether it's their own or part of a package of finance or come into schemes like ours or wider schemes for investment to start up or grow. I think the climate in general is quite positive. A lot of the businesses that we talk to are on it upward sort of incline, and they're very sort of confident about investing money into the into sort of their own infrastructure or new staff or trying a new project even, diversifying their own business, etc.
Ta-da.
And I think and I think that's a really a good thing, and it's helping to drive the innovation. I think obviously Tees Valley strategically via the combined authority and all of the 5 local authorities have got quite a good handle on where they can sort of push an agenda, if you like, in terms of fostering a digital sort of sector and things like that, and all of those areas.
Which we have, like, in it, like, the two things that kind of stand out me personally, obviously, I can be completely wrong, is there's a great digital growth in Teesside, but also, like the restaurateur scene, like the foodie scene and stuff like that seems to be, like, on an incredible climb at the moment. We've got some of the guests are coming on their own little bistros and stuff, but it's great to see. It's becoming like it's just I always used to joke when we used to go to see like clients in Manchester and Wales and stuff that we didn't have things like an independent only coffee shop or a sushi place or Uber and things like that. But now we've, like, in the last year, we're seeing more and more of these businesses open, which is fantastic. One of the things that I was really interested in speaking about, get your take on something, is that we've talked about, like I said, like we covered it on Andy's podcast and things like that, but is when you go to other places like Newcastle and Leeds, and there's very much a culture to raise money before starting a business, going out and, raising capital via investment or, for equity in your business, etc. There's only, to my knowledge, 3 angel investors in Teesside. Again, could be completely wrong. There may be 20 out there for all I know. Please, nobody take my word as gospel on it. But it's a culture that we don't really seem to have in Teesside. Maybe just like, the grit that we have as a community. Well, I'm just going to do this, which you probably guys might see a lot, that people might be in a startup for a year or two and then actually think, well, I should actually look around and see if there's any grant money or funding available. Like they're already in business for a while. Do you think something as time goes on, we might change how we do it? Do you think we might, do you guys, like, I know there was Venture Fest not so long ago and things like that. Do you think that's something that's getting bigger in Teesside when it comes, because obviously it works hand in hand with you guys, obviously investment into a business in that route, but also funding and grant money available from you guys. Like, I didn't know if it was something that you guys had a lot of, or do you see a lot of it?
Yeah, I think what I refer to as a package of finance is getting at exactly that. I think historically there's been this culture of being like a grant-based sort of environment, but really that's not been on the scene for quite a number of years now, certainly since I've been involved in business support, economic regeneration over like 8 to 10 years, say. I really haven't seen that, because when I sort of got involved in this game, I started in the June after the financial crash, and there was a big change politically into the coalition government, all the rest of it. So you had a financial crash putting pressure on. People were finding it difficult to access the monies. The government changed, and then there was a lot of sort of schemes that weren't refreshed or whatever. So people have, I think, gotten used to not having grant schemes around and looking at other ways to raise finance, whether it's putting money in from themselves, going to family members, going to the commercial high street lenders, going to P2P sort of lending, angel investors. I think there's quite a few more than 3.
It was just last time I had a brief look. Like I say, nobody take my word as gospel. I could be completely wrong.
and that just might be because sometimes it's connecting people with the right people. There's this environment really of a range of finance providers, if you like, to help kickstart a venture or to help raise some finance for growth. And some of the schemes that we sort of deal with and operate are what we call a sort of funds of last resort. It's really supposed to be that you've looked at everything first before coming to a grant scheme or other sort of financial instrument or vehicle that's been set up to help a business do that kind of activity. But I personally feel like for Tees Valley in particular, there's a range of options. And maybe there's some work that can be sort of done to improve the sort of visibility of that and maybe the access to it, but that's kind of what we're trying to do as well, is connect people and then show them that at the moment we've got this growth scheme here that we're delivering, and if you're generating investment from private sources, you're spending the money anyways, you can then leverage it off against
getting it back from
the grant,
etc.
and in fact what that actually does for people who provide finance, whether it's a sort of a government-backed scheme through sort of Northern Powerhouse Investment Funds or something of that nature, or a commercial finance provider, is what you refer to as de-risking the project.
Yeah.
Because if you're talking, I need 100k to do X, Y, and Z, and you're potentially able to get sort of 30 or 50k from somewhere, you're de-risking that to the lender, and people can sort of put input from other sources and then get the gap funded from
well,
High Street or wherever.
I imagine it like it ties in, both like if you go, if you have to go to, yourselves for an application, or if you go into a high street lender or private or whatever, to kind of go, look, well, what actually we're going to do is we're going to raise this money, but we're putting in an application to get 30% back from these guys. These guys are going to put in money, and you guys put in some money. It's kind of like a round table. We can't do it without the help of everybody, but it's like 3 slices of the pie that all go really well together.
Yeah.
Again, it's something that I personally am seeing a lot of people shout about, is something like private equity investment in Teesside. And like I say, there's probably people who listen to this and hear me saying, "Go, well, actually, my business was completely founded on that," or "That's what I do," and all that. If there is anybody out there who does that, please get in touch. I would love to have them on. It is again something, like I know we talked about before starting, that it's something that I really want to do more of in the future, to talk about like these options that are available for people. So it's great to have that kind of stuff out there.
You can find out more about things like that, like through the business support helpline. They've got a knowledge bank, and they keep a list of things that would be angel investors for the area, business mentors, things like that. You can contact them, and they'll give you.
Rick, get the phone.
Do you know
there
what?
are multi-channel services.
See, there you go. Every day's a school day.
Yes.
Business support helpline is a great resource, and they cover the knowledge sort of nationally, right down to the locality. And then I'd encourage people to just get in touch with us, because if you aren't already on with us as a client, that could be the inquiry, for example. I've got X, Y, and Z to do. I need this much cash. What we're sort of seeing is the people who are on as a client and have done a project or are in the process of. Once they've done something, they've built a relationship up with their growth consultant. And they'll just pick the phone up or drop them a text or whatever. I mean, it was literally just the other day I had somebody Facebook message me and say, I need X, Y, and Z amount of money. Have you got any ideas? And, for these reasons, this is the type of finance that I'm looking at. And so we then just try and go that extra mile by helping them source what they need, but then also we can offer them our support as well, because if they're doing the spend, as I've said, it could be that they would be eligible for a grant against that invoice cost as well.
Well, it is something that, like, I'll completely say myself that, we use you guys, for projects and stuff. And when we were at the Tees Valley Business Summit, like not so long ago, like I was talking with Leslie about a couple of bits, and she like gave us advice like straight away. Dave Jones, who was with you guys, I didn't realise he was with you guys, but I went to primary school. Dave, I've known him like all my life. So it was great to see like Dave was there and stuff. So it's like the local people in the community at the end of the day that a lot of people know.
And I think if I sort of give you a little bit of a background in a general way about the guys that we've got on as consultants, might sort of help in terms of, I've sort of alluded to the fact that a lot of us have come from private sector and things like that, so some of them might have been in business support in this sort of shape and form, but people like, for example, Dave, he's worked in commercial banking, so he knows what the sort of situation is there. He's got all the links into the banks, and then he's sort of come out of there, gone into a private venture, and then come to us. So he's got a really good
he's got
sort
full,
of background.
Like a 360 way of looking at it, hasn't he?
And I think a lot of the people that we've got within the team, growth consultants and wider, have got such a wealth of experience and a diverse background that there's not much that comes to the table that we can't actually help and actually add value to, because that's the key bit, really. We're going there to add value. If it isn't, we'll probably be honest with you and tell you that, because we don't want to waste anybody's time.
That's the great thing about it, and from personal experience and things like that, the level of help, like, I know for a lot of people have like fantastic business ideas, but when it comes to paperwork, absolutely don't want to do it, like the guy like Leslie and stuff like that have been phenomenal in us, has been helping with the paperwork and stuff like that, and like actually, these are the criteria that it's looking for, and just like help, like you say, getting rid of the red tape and help like demystifying it all. So for us, it's been fantastic like experience.
Yeah, that's really good feedback, and that's exactly what we want to hear. And so mechanically, the way we've structured this program's brilliant, is because we kind of hide the fact that it's actually two separate things, so that it doesn't confuse the customer. So you hopefully have just gave us feedback there that confirms that, but in essence, it's two separate things we're doing. We're being what I like to refer to as the business's mate. So Leslie or whoever was your growth consultant will have been your business's mate, and they're helping you do things. And because there's a Chinese wall in place over the funds that we operate as well and manage for the combined authority, what we're able to do is the consultants are on one side of that wall, so they're actually able to help you physically do that application and fill it in,
which is a massive win for so many businesses.
And even down to helping you sort of process the claims to get the money back into your own bank account once you've done the expenditure and uploaded your evidence, everything. They'll even help you do that, and we're able to do that because of this Chinese wall approach. So the way that the scheme's been structured is really sort of helpful, and I think it just facilitates that whole streamlined and helpful approach.
It was like incredible. Like, I really can't get, like, I thought it would be like we had help from our accountants as well with it and stuff, who works with you guys closely, which is Matthew over at Stewart Hall & Co. So they were great and worked closely with you guys and stuff. So it was really like a painless process for us.
Painless.
Incredibly painful. No, speaking of painful, though, what a segue that was. We ask everybody now who comes on the podcast the same 3 questions.
Right.
So we're lucky that this is the first time we've had 2 guests on at the same time. So you both have to answer the same 3 questions, which is the law of the land. The 3 questions are, in order.
Do I want to know?
What? This is the way we shine a light in your eyes. Right. So the first one is, what does success look like individually to you? And this is different for every single person. Some people have been honest and said, it's when I have $1 million in my bank account. Some people said, I can buy my boat, like I can spend more time with kids. Like it's a very individual thing. So we'd like to know what every individual wants is, because I think a lot of people get caught up with, oh God, well, I'll only be successful when I've got this. And that's not really the case. It's a very individual thing. The second thing is, what setback or failure have you had in your past that's later led to a success? So whether it be this company that I work for went under, but it allowed me to come work for another company that I'm working for, or whatever it may be, like a lot of people in Teesside might have got made redundant from SAI, which at the time was incredibly scary, and terrible, but then that allowed them to grow up in their dream business, and now it's the best thing that's ever happened. That kind of thing. Doesn't need to be unbelievably detailed, but if there's anything that jumps out. And the third one is something that you are obsessed with at the moment. It could be anything. It can be a gadget, it could be a new pair of shoes you've bought, a TV show you're watching, can be anything and everything. So they're the 3 questions. What I'll do is I'll do one each question first, so it gives you a bit of time to think. Who wants to go first?
Ladies first.
I knew that was coming.
I knew you were going to say
unfortunately, Gemma just threw you right under the bus, but you're
thanks, don't worry, I'll remember.
So what does success look like to you?
Success for me as a person, it's happiness. just feeling good about what I do, enjoying coming to work and what I do, and seeing from a work side of things, seeing how many people I help through what I do. But I want to be able to wake up and not think, oh, I've got to go to work again today.
Monday morning dread kind of thing.
And I haven't got that where I work. You know, I haven't had that for a long time. I've worked in places where I have had that, and that one day, 7 or 8 hour day, is like a week every day, you know, and it's awful. Whereas we've got a really good team here, haven't we? And we all enjoy coming to work, and it's like it's almost like a family, so we're all happy. So I think like happiness and positivity for me, it's a massive one. It's a massive one. You spend 100%. A lot of time with people that you work with all day and every day, and I think you've got to have some kind of like good bond. And for me, it's the happiness. I like just to be happy and positive and enjoy everything.
Fantastic. Shak?
Over to you.
That was deep.
Deep.
I'll have to
see, now you're throwing to the bus to go first. Now you feel bad.
Now you
feel pressure.
Now I'm trying to figure out something that's more.
It literally can be anything, and you won't believe some of the stuff that people have said on past podcasts.
I'm just all about the happiness. I like to be happy, like the sun to be shining. And,
I was talking to somebody the other day, and their idea of happiness was like, the word bothered how to get there, but was you just like have a farmhouse and have like 100 dogs, like, and that was it, and that's it, and that's all I want. So it can literally be anything. It doesn't.
No, I think Gemma's kind of touched on a similar thing for me, because being happy in what I do has been something that's quite important to me for quite a long time, and for much of the same reasons really. And in the past, I've not really been scared to just, without any forward plan, to just change direction, you know, whether it's been in an employed role and just thinking, well, I've had enough of this, because it's not giving me what I need, and just handing my notice in, or having a punt at some kind of venture. I think it's being able to sort of, I'm quite a creative person. I've got a creative industries background, and I think it's fair to say that I sort of didn't really go along the line that probably my parents wanted me to sort of go and do. Sometimes you feel a little bit pressured when you're younger to do that. So luckily, you know, it's paid off, taking a few gambles. And what I always like to encourage people to do is sort of go with your gut really, and not really be scared to take some of the gambles, even though it can be quite a scary time. When you do those things. Creativity, being able to be creative and take a different approach. I think it's fair to say that I'm different. Maybe that's...
I think that would be... that's the diplomatic way.
In a good way.
I think that's it. In a good way.
But happy as well. And what I really personally like to do is, and why I've sort of moved into this arena really, is I really like helping people. So whether that's through this or things I've done in the past, working with at-risk youths or ex-offenders and things like that, to sort of try and make their own lives better, then that's the kind of thing that, you know, having some good outcomes and having an impact and improving Tees Valley. Sounds crazy. I've lived all over the place. I've been lucky to travel and live all over the place, and people always think that I'm mental when I say to them, I'm missing Middlesbrough.
Because I don't understand. The sun always shines.
I'm an Acklem lad, born and raised, and like a few of the guys in the supply sort of game, we're all from Acklem area, so we've got like a hashtag TS5 gang, which you might have seen, but it's not actually a gang, it's just us.
Roaming the streets, helping businesses. It's terrible.
Getting our ice blast from local shops. No. So it's just helping really.
Yeah, which is a massive thing and like contributes towards happiness. Okay, so the second one is what kind of either setback or failure is a really finite word, so I don't really like to use it because it sounds like all encompassing. And sometimes at the time it is. You know, some people can't see like the light, you know, at the end of the tunnel. But a lot of the times, people are notorious, especially in Teesside, for gritting the teeth, getting through something and coming out all right in the end.
I think that's the northeast way, though, isn't it?
It is,
that's a real northern thing. That.
You know, we've got I won't get into all the politics and the steep history that we have in Teesside, you know, but there is a lot of it in Teesside. So what about, is there anything that you wouldn't mind sharing to kind of say, well, you know, I had this setback at some point in my life and it's led something decent? Don't have to be unbelievably detailed.
Well, I can use the reason that you gave before. I worked for a company before where I am, and I really enjoyed working there. It was great. It had a similar vibe to what we've got going on at the Compass, and I'd worked there from pretty much the start, so I've been there for nearly 6 years, and just the last probably 5 or 6 months I'd started to think, oh, something going on here, something not quite right, and my brother-in-law is on our team as well. He's one of our growth consultants, Phil, and he was at BE Group, and he said, oh, well, why don't you just send your CV in? So I did, and I just went in to have a chat with them. The company that I worked for at the time, because I'm really a big fan of purple. I don't know if you notice everything that I've got purple. They had purple in the logo. BE Group's all about the purple. So just pulling in, just pulling
like
in.
I'm thinking,
I'm thinking, this could be good. And I made a decision to leave a company that I'd worked for 6 years for a 6-month contract 4 years ago.
Which is scary at the time.
Which is really, really scary because it's like it's the security thing, but I just had this feeling and I left. I can't remember the date, but we'll just say the 30th of September. Literally the following day, everybody in the business was put at risk of redundancy. And then the business was closed down by Christmas.
God.
And I got a permanent contract, and I've been there. It'll be, I think, 5 years in October.
Which is crazy.
Which is great, and just testament to the power of the purpleness.
Really, everyone. Hill purple.
Yes, but so I think I think sometimes you've got to take a risk, even if you have got that security around you. You know, it's just it's all about your gut, isn't it?
It is, Shak?
A few things really. I think
you got to pick one.
You know what? Not so much as I see it as a setback, as more of just kind of character building, if you like. I've got two children, 2 girls.
That's it.
And
that's intensely character building now.
It is now. One of them thinks she's 30, and it's
my 2-year-old daughter does, so I feel your pain.
It's. I think I might need to go and see some people about raising finance. My bank balance is just dwindling away.
I can imagine.
Handbags and God knows what. But no. I think I was quite young myself when I found out that I was going to be a dad, and I had to sort of move to a different place abroad to sort of go and be part of that. And at the time, I was sort of focused on my music that I was sort of involved in music industry and whatnot. So it's kind of like having to let that go and then go and just do what you had to do at the time to sort of support your family, if you like. So working like 18 hours a day at the start of it when I went there. I'd work split shifts in a restaurant as a sort of as a chef in a kitchen, which I ended up learning some of that skills through my parents' business ventures. So I was lucky that I could just get a job over there. But it was what it was. It was just about supporting your family and everything. And then a few years later, it's got to the point where I was in a better position to sort of be able to look at things again and go back into what I love doing and progressing your life in a direction that you want to do, aspiration for success or whatever it is that you want to describe it for. So there's some tough times there. Where
Absolutely.
you have to put food on the table and you don't eat yourself and things like that. It was quite tough. But I see it as less of a failure, or however you refer to it, as more of character building. It's
I use the word failure, but it's like that's really like a black and white type thing where it's never that really. Right, okay then. So one thing that you're obsessed by, you cannot say purple. Since you've already said it.
Oh, because I've already said it.
You've already said purple.
Oh, well, if I'd known, I would have hung on to it. I'm going to go with a TV show because I'm watching a lot of television at the minute. I'm not usually I don't usually watch stuff that's on the Sci-Fi channel, but there's 2 shows that are on at the minute, and there's one I think I watched about. This is going to make me sound really sad. I think I watched about 8 episodes on Sunday back to back. I'm obsessed with these 2 shows at the minute. One's called Stitches, and the other's called Reverie.
Oh right,
and it's about the Reverie one's about artificial intelligence.
Oh, right,
and
okay.
this woman goes in as a hostage negotiator to solve problems.
Yeah.
And bring these people back because they don't want to come back. And that's not usually the type of thing that I'd be into. And then the Stitches one is people die and this girl gets implanted into their memory to solve their murders.
God.
It's not the kind of thing that I'm really obsessed with them two programmes at the minute. They're mad. But I really enjoy watching them.
TV's a popular one. Yeah. We had Mike from Breakout Media on, and I forgot to ask him the last question, and he was looking forward to the entire podcast of answering it, because I think he was the one person that hadn't seen Game of Thrones, and he just started watching it, and he was so hyped. You can speak to Mike on the way out, he'll happily scream at you about how good it is.
I couldn't watch it. I tried the first episode now. That's the kind of stuff that I don't like, and I was like,
you would have said that about artificial intelligence murder solving a minute ago, so...
I know, but that from the first episode, I'll have to watch the second one, So.
I think we've just got controversial there, haven't we?
Don't like the Game of Thrones.
No. Please don't, I don't want to see it in the comments or anything. Right, it's so yourself, Shak.
I'm going to go with anything that goes fast.
All right, okay.
In particular, motorbikes and cars. I'm a proper petrol head.
Awesome.
So
we just seen like on the drive here like a really old Lincoln.
Oh yeah.
Like an American car that was massive. I couldn't believe the size of it, but
I love it. I just love everything about it. I love the design of cars, how they look, how they sound, how they smell.
Certainly a nice couple floating around Teesside at the moment.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Round and about now. It's
Martin Car Sales, I think, have they recently sold like the most expensive car on Teesside? Did I say that, or was that somewhere else?
I don't know.
I know on Teesside it recently been the most expensive car that's ever been sold on Teesside.
Right. Interesting.
I'm sure it was a Lamborghini, but I may be wrong.
I've seen a lot of old American cars recently.
Yeah.
I love like Dodge Chargers and stuff like that.
I've had a few in the past. A couple of old sort of 60s and 70s American muscle cars that were sheds. And then just restored them, and good fun those, and just various different motors. But some of the stuff that I can't afford, unfortunately. But that's what you aim to get at some point.
My father-in-law restores old Triumph motorcycles and stuff.
Cool.
That break down as soon as he takes them out. But that's his love latest stuff that he does. So
it's funny because there's a couple of petrol heads in our gang actually, and there's a couple of bikers. I've been trying to persuade everybody to do like their bike license, because I've been intending to do it for a while now, and I used to ride when I was younger. Much to the dismay of my father, over the fields, fields from where we lived. Had like an off-road bike. I had an on-road bike at one point that I didn't care. I used to take that over the field as well. It was good fun. But there's a couple of bikers, so I'm trying to get everybody to do their test, and then we can start like the Tees Valley Business
Biker
Club,
gang.
Sons of Anarchy.
Let the jackets to fall off. That'd be really funny. Actually.
I'm keen.
Just be like a menace going out handing grants instead.
Instead of selling them arms, beating them up. That's a good TV show.
Would you be the president?
Obviously, I was
never any doubt.
What about if I wanted to be the president?
You have to fight to the death, don't you? Is that what you have to do?
I'm down for that.
On the next episode of the Teesside Business Podcast,
I've committed to growing a big handlebar moustache anyway.
Have you?
Yeah.
I can't
It'd be
do
cool.
that.
We all have to get those jackets.
That's all right. We can get them.
Moving on swiftly. So if for all businesses in Teesside, if they are looking to expand in any way or do anything with the business that they might need financial help with, where's the best place for them to get in touch with you? Obviously, everything will be linked below for people to just click straight through. But
everywhere and everywhere. I think.
I know you're on
every
platform.
If you want to like pick the phone up, then it's 01642 939386 to speak to one of the service and investment team. But if you're looking to do something outside work hours because you're busy, the best thing to do is register your interest on the website, which is www.teesbusinesscompass.co.uk. If it's a quick question or you want anything, I get a lot of inquiries through Instagram, which is Tees_Compass, Twitter Tees_Compass. Then we've got Facebook, Google Plus, LinkedIn. We're everywhere.
Everywhere.
We want to make it as easy as possible
Yep.
for people to get in
No
contact
friction
with
for
us.
people to find you.
Yeah, so it's just a case of asking a question.
Absolutely.
Anything to do with business support, anything, you know.
Well, yeah, thanks very much for coming on.
Thanks for having
It's
us,
been an
mate.
awesome
No
chat,
worries.
learned a lot. So, there's been episode 17 of the Teesside Business Podcast. The Teesside Business Podcast is promoted and produced by Person-to-Person Marketing. Thanks very much for listening.